what exactly is conduct risk? Well, there are many perspectives to this concept of conduct risk, and several definitions. There is no single definition of conduct risk. But conduct generally is about behavior, our behavior to the customer, our attitude towards compliance-related issues, and how we treat customer complaints, as well as issues of fraud. But let's take one or two definitions of conduct risk. According to Philip Cooper, while he was making his presentation at the BBA Conduct Risk Seminar in September 2012, said that conduct risk is any action of an individual, bank, or any other financial institution for that matter that leads to customer detriment or negatively impacts market stability. And then, of course, the Financial Conduct Authority in UK states that conduct risk is the risk that firm behavior will result in poor outcomes for customers. So you see, the focus is on customers. And of course, the definition by Philip Cooper also adds market stability. And I think we need to take that broad definition of conduct risk, which means that it's not just only about customers, it's about, markets, it's about all stakeholders, whether employees, clients, third-party, individuals or organizations. So the concept of conduct risk boils down to good behavior towards all stakeholders. And I think that is the perspective that I want us to understand the concept of conduct risk. Now, if we focus on the customer as one of the stakeholders, when we say conduct risk, we're talking about how we treat customers, how we manage conflicts of interest, and how we deliver good customer outcomes. And talking about customer outcomes, we're saying, how do we treat? How does our organization treat customers? Are they treated fairly? And of course, in terms of the products and services which we offer the customer, are they designed to meet the needs of the customer? Now, customers are provided with clear information. If that happens, then we say we have good conduct towards our customer, especially before, during, and after the point of sale. And then, of course, if we are providing any advice to the customer, they must be suitable and take into account their circumstances and preferences. Now, there are several drivers of conduct risk in several organizations. One would be that human resource decisions are not based on a balanced scorecard. So where human resource decisions are based on revenue and profitability without taking account of the behavior of individuals in the organization towards the customer or the stakeholders, then that is a key driver of conduct risk. Then, of course, individuals and leadership are not responsible or held to account for poor conduct. That is a red flag for conduct risk. Of course, conflicts of interest are not identified or managed. And then, of course, complex and disconnected or growth at all cost business model drives, conduct risk or aggravates, conduct risk in our organizations. Then we can also talk about manual and complicated processes and procedures, weak systems for monitoring and of course, surveillance. Then we can also add to that a situation where you have disparate structures or problematic prevalent culture within the organization. And finally, the product lifecycle is not guided by customer needs and suitability. All of these we have found out to be the drivers of conduct risk in our respective organizations. Now, so there are key questions that we need to be able to respond to as organizations when it comes to conduct risk. The first question would be, what proactive steps do we take as a firm to identify the conduct risks inherent within our business? Second, how do we encourage the individuals who work at various levels of the organization, including control and support functions, to feel and be responsible for managing the conduct of the business? Third, what support does the firm provide to enable those who work for it to improve the conduct of the business or function? How does the board or management, for that matter, gain oversight of the conduct of business within the organization? And equally, how does the board or management consider the conduct implications of the kind of decisions that they make from time to time? And has the firm assessed whether there are any other activities that it undertakes and could undermine strategies put in place to improve conduct in general? So these are key questions that as organizations we need to ask from time to time and provide the right answers in order to minimize the prevalence of conduct risk in our organizations. Now, so what should we do as a firm generally in order to improve on conduct and to minimize the occurrence and prevalence of conduct risk? But let me be very clear, no one can eliminate it. It is a question of trying to make sure that the standards we set in terms of behavior, are being implemented. But there will always be that gap. And that is why we talk about conduct risk. So what should we do? Here are 4 recommendations that you might want to put into consideration. 1, we should have a properly implemented customer-centric strategy which produces sustainable profits. Number 2, as an organization, we need to have a broad-led culture which supports that strategy and good consumer outcomes. 3rd, we should also develop products that operate in the interest of customers and use behavioral techniques to ensure that those customers also understand them. And finally, we should take a prospective and proactive view on the products that we sell, stress testing and ensuring appropriateness for our customers. Issues about conduct risk is now taken very seriously by regulators across the globe. And we want to ensure that as organizations that we pay very close attention to this and try to minimize or reduce the level of conduct risk in our organizations. Thank you.